The first time Mia looked scared of me, I laughed it off. We were standing in my kitchen in Phoenix. Aaron was on the balcony taking a work call. Mia had come inside to help me carry drinks. I reached past her for a bottle opener, and she flinched so hard the glass in her hand tapped the counter. She stared at me like she was trying to decide something. Not about herself, about me. "Are you okay?" I asked. She forced a smile. "Yeah, sorry, just tired." But it wasn't tired. It was fear, or guilt, or maybe both. At the time, I thought she was hiding feelings for me, or maybe regretting something that had never happened. I told myself it was awkward tension, nothing more. I was wrong. A week later, I found my full name on a lease for a townhouse I had never seen, signed beside the name of my best friend. And that was the moment I realized Mia hadn't started acting different because of me. She started acting different because she thought I already knew. Before everything fell apart, life felt simple. I was 32, living in a one-bedroom apartment near Arcadia, working long days as an HVAC technician. Phoenix heat keeps men like me busy almost year-round. Most of my jobs were in the suburbs. Roof units, dead compressors, broken thermostats in million-dollar homes, where people acted like 90 degrees indoors was a federal emergency. It paid well enough. It kept my hands moving. And after my divorce 2 years earlier, that mattered. Aaron had been my best friend since middle school. We met in Mesa, back when life was little league games, scratched up bikes, and stupid promises about never changing. He was the kind of guy people trusted fast. Quick smile, easy laugh, good at talking his way into things, good at making people feel seen. He worked in mortgage lending, wore clean sneakers, expensive watches, and always smelled like cedar cologne and fresh laundry. He lived in Scottsdale, in a sleek apartment with too much glass and not enough privacy. The kind of place that looked good at night. Aaron had been there for me after my divorce, helped me move, covered dinners when money got tight, sat with me through the ugly silence that follows losing the person you thought you'd grow old with. So when he told me he'd met someone serious, I was happy for him. Her name was Mia. She was 29, a school counselor at an elementary school in Tempe. Quiet at first, soft voice, sharp eyes. The kind of woman who didn't talk just to fill silence. When she did speak, it mattered. She and Aaron had been dating about 8 months when I really got to know her. By then, she was around all the time. Sunday dinners, Suns games, last-minute taco runs, grocery store trips that somehow turned into an hour because Aaron couldn't walk past anyone without starting a conversation. For a while, it felt good. Not just because Aaron seemed happy, because for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like the lonely friend anymore. Mia had a grounding effect on both of us. Aaron slowed down around her, became softer, less restless. He stopped chasing every loud room, started talking about the future like he meant it. He even mentioned rings once. We were sitting in his car outside a coffee shop on Camelback. He killed the engine and looked straight ahead. "You think she'd say yes?" he asked. I laughed. "You really asking me that? I'm serious. She loves you, man." He smiled then, small, almost shy. That should have been the memory I kept, not what came after. Back then, Mia treated me like family. She remembered little things. My black coffee order, the fact that I hated voicemail, the anniversary of my mother's death. She asked real questions and actually waited for answers. There was no weirdness, no distance, no cold looks. Then summer hit, and something changed. At first, it was so small I almost missed it. She stopped making eye contact as long. She started leaving earlier when I came over. If Aaron got up to take a call and we were alone, she'd go quiet. Not uncomfortable quiet, measured quiet. Like she was listening for something under my words. One night she asked me, out of nowhere, "Have you and Aaron ever kept secrets for each other?" I laughed because it sounded random. "Probably a million dumb ones," I said. "Why?" She stirred her drink too long. "No reason." Another time, she asked if Aaron had ever borrowed money from me. I said no. Then she asked if I'd ever let him use my name for anything. I frowned. "What does that mean?" She blinked fast, like she regretted saying it. "Nothing. Forget it." I should have pushed harder. I didn't. Because when strange things happen inside familiar relationships, the first instinct is always the same. Protect the normal. Pretend it still exists. The real shift happened in August. Aaron invited me over for a Friday cookout. Nothing special, just burgers, music, cold beer, the city glowing orange outside his balcony. Mia was already there when I arrived. She looked beautiful, but distracted, hair tied back, no makeup, oversized grey sweatshirt, even though the night was still hot. She hugged Aaron. She nodded at me. That was it. Through dinner, she barely spoke. Aaron carried the conversation like he always did. Work stories, dumb client calls, a guy who tried to buy a second home while hiding 3 maxed-out credit cards. At one point, I mentioned I had a service call the next morning near Chandler. The second I said Chandler, Mia looked up. Too fast. Aaron noticed too. I saw it in the way his smile thinned for just a second. You good? He asked her. Yeah, she said, but her hand had frozen around her fork. Later that night, Aaron went downstairs to grab ice. Mia and I ended up alone on the balcony. Cars moved below us like red and white threads. The air smelled like asphalt and grilled meat. She stepped closer. Not in a romantic way, in a desperate way. Can I ask you something? She said. Sure. She looked at the sliding door, then back at me. Her voice dropped. If Aaron was lying to me, would you tell me? My stomach tightened. Why would you ask that? She opened her mouth, then Aaron came back. The moment was gone. She straightened up, smiled too quickly, and started talking about a TV show like nothing had happened. That night, I drove home with a pressure in my chest I couldn't explain. Part of me thought maybe Mia suspected Aaron was cheating. Part of me thought maybe she was trying to pull me into some relationship drama I didn't want. And a smaller, uglier part of me wondered if she had feelings for me and was looking for a reason to justify them. I hated myself for even thinking it. But when people turn strange around you, you start making stories just to survive the silence. Over the next week, it got worse. She stopped replying in the group chat. She cancelled plans. Once, I saw her car parked across from my apartment building around 10 p.m. I was taking out trash. Her headlights were off. She was just sitting there. I walked toward the curb and lifted a hand. She saw me. Then she drove away. No wave, no text, nothing. That was the first moment I felt real fear. Not the loud kind, the quiet kind, the kind that tells you something has already started and you're the last person to understand it. 3 days later, I got home from work and found an envelope taped inside my mailbox. No stamp, no return address, just my name. Inside was a folded photocopy of a utility bill, Salt River Project. Service address, a townhouse in Chandler, name on account, Daniel Mercer, but the backup contact listed underneath was me, my full name, my phone number, my old date of birth. For a second, I just stood there in the hallway staring at the paper like it might rearrange itself if I waited long enough. I had never lived in Chandler, I had never opened that account, and I had never heard of Daniel Mercer. At first, I thought it was fraud, some random mistake. Then I saw a small blue circle around the date at the top of the bill, and next to it, handwritten in black pen, were 4 words. Ask him about this. I called Aaron. He picked up on the second ring. Hey, what's up? I told him about the bill. There was a pause. Not long, but long enough. That's weird, he said finally. Probably some clerical thing. Why would my info be on it? No idea. People mess up paperwork all the time. My throat went dry. You sound weird, he laughed. Too quickly. I'm literally driving, man. You want me to pull over for a power bill? I looked at the paper again. Did Mia send this? Silence. Then, why would she do that? I asked him again. He exhaled. She's been stressed. Work stuff. I don't know what she's doing lately. That answer did not help. It made everything worse. That night, I couldn't sleep. I pulled my credit report for the first time in months. There it was. A soft inquiry tied to an address in Chandler, a utility connection, and one other thing, a retail charge from a furniture store I had never used, delivered to that same address. The date on the charge went back almost 11 months. 11 months. Long before Mia ever started acting strange. Long before I noticed anything at all. The next morning, I called Aaron again. No answer. I texted Mia, no answer. By noon, I had worked myself into a state I barely recognized. Not just angry, not just confused, humiliated. Because if someone had used my information, it meant one of two things. Either a stranger had gotten close to my life, or someone inside my life had opened the door. That evening, Aaron finally texted me, "Let's talk tomorrow, in person." No apology, no explanation, just that. I didn't wait. The next afternoon, I parked across from Aaron's office in Scottsdale and watched. I told myself I just wanted answers, but deep down, I already knew I was following him. And once you start following someone you love, something inside you breaks, because some part of you already believes you're going to find what you're afraid of. He left around 5:40. Instead of driving toward his apartment, he headed east, then south, then deeper into Chandler. Not the newer parts with polished shopping centers and clean stucco developments. An older neighborhood, narrow streets, sun-faded grass, townhouses lined up close together like they were trying to protect each other. Aaron parked in front of a beige unit with a cracked basketball hoop near the curb. I stayed half a block back. He got out carrying a grocery bag. Then the front door opened. A little girl ran out, maybe 5 or 6 years old, dark curls, pink socks, big smile. She threw herself at Aaron's legs. He laughed, bent down, picked her up like he had done it 1,000 times. A woman stepped into the doorway behind them. She wore scrubs, blue ones, hair tied up, tired face, soft expression. Aaron kissed her, not quickly, not casually, like a man coming home. I forgot to breathe. The girl wrapped both arms around his neck and said something I couldn't hear through the windshield. But I didn't need to hear it. I saw Aaron's face, the way it changed, the way it softened, and I knew that wasn't a mistake. That wasn't a fling. That was a life, a whole other life. And somehow, my name was inside it. I don't remember driving home. I just remember sitting in my dark apartment with the engine off, hands locked around the steering wheel, trying to force my mind into a shape that made sense. Aaron had a second relationship, maybe more than that, maybe a family, and Mia had known, at least part of it. That explained the fear in her face, the strange questions, the way she looked at me like she was trying to measure my guilt. The next day, she finally texted, "Can we meet somewhere private?" "No, Aaron. We met at a coffee shop in downtown Phoenix, late afternoon. Loud enough for privacy, empty enough for truth." When I walked in, she looked like she hadn't slept in days. She didn't waste time. "I'm sorry," she said. "I thought you might be part of it." I sat down slowly. Part of what? Her eyes filled, but she held it together. His double life. That phrase landed like concrete. I told her what I'd seen in Chandler. She closed her eyes for a second, like hearing it out loud made it more real. Then she reached into her bag and pulled out a folder. Inside were copies, lease papers, a daycare emergency contact form, a store receipt for a child's bedroom set, and on one page, highlighted in yellow, was my name. I stared at it. "How did you get this?" "I found a second phone in Aaron's golf bag," she said. "Then I found messages, different name, different stories. I followed him 2 weeks ago." She swallowed hard. "The woman in Chandler thinks his name is David Cole. Who is she?" "Her name is Elena. She's a respiratory therapist. She thinks they've been together for 3 years. 3 years. Aaron had only been with Mia for 8 months, which meant he had been living that other life long before Mia, long before any of us noticed. Mia kept going. "I saw your name on the lease attachment. Co-guarantor, backup contact. I thought maybe you helped him set it up." "I didn't." "I know that now." "How?" She looked down at her coffee. "Because when I started asking questions, you looked confused, not defensive. And because Aaron got angry every time I brought you up. That hit me harder than I expected. Not because I cared what she thought of me, because I realized how completely Aaron had built his lies around trust. Mine, hers, Elena's. He had used all of us like furniture in a house only he understood." Mia explained the rest. Months earlier, Aaron had told her he traveled often for work. Late closings, client dinners, weekend seminars in Tucson, Flagstaff, even Las Vegas. She believed him at first. Then little details stopped lining up. Missed calls at strange hours, receipts in his car from places he never mentioned, a child's sticker stuck to the inside of his center console. When she confronted him, he smiled and said she was overthinking. Then one night, while he showered, his second phone lit up. A message from Elena. Sophia keeps asking if you'll be at her school breakfast Friday. Please don't cancel again. Mia had copied everything she could before he got out. After that, she started watching, quietly, carefully, and then she found the documents with my name. That's why I acted weird around you, she said. I didn't know if you were innocent, or if both of you were lying to me. I leaned back in my chair and stared at the ceiling. I should have been furious at Mia. Instead, I just felt tired. What do we do? She asked. I looked at her. Not like a woman, not like my best friend's girlfriend, just like another person standing in the wreckage of someone else's choices. We find out everything, I said. And that was the moment we became allies. Not lovers, not even friends, really. Just two people who had been standing too close to the same fire. For the next 4 days, we pieced it together, carefully. Mia copied numbers from the second phone when she got access. I pulled old emails, checked my credit, and found Aaron had used tax documents I once sent him when he offered to help me compare mortgage options after my divorce. I had forgotten all about it. He hadn't. That was how he got my information. That was how he tied me to the townhouse. He hadn't just lied, he had used my life as cover. We learned Elena believed Aaron, David, was divorced and working on rebuilding his finances. She had no idea Mia existed. She thought his long absences were loan processing trips and family obligations with a sick aunt in Nevada. There was no sick aunt. There was Mia. There was also debt, a lot of it. Sports betting apps, personal loans, credit cards, late payments. The double life hadn't just been emotional, it was financial. He was juggling stories because the truth could no longer stand up on its own. On the 5th night, Aaron called me. His voice sounded calm, too calm. "You've been acting strange," he said. I almost laughed. "Really?" "Mia's weird too." I said nothing. Then he asked, "You two talking?" That was it. Not concern, not guilt, not explanation. Control. He was checking the walls of the lie to see where they were cracking. I kept my voice flat. "Why would that matter?" He was quiet for a beat. "Because I need to know who's in my corner." That was the moment I understood something ugly. Aaron didn't think he had done something unforgivable. He thought he was managing a situation, and people like that are the most dangerous kind of liar. Not because they enjoy deception, because they think it's leadership. The breaking point came on a Sunday. Mia called me at 7:12 p.m. Her voice was shaking. "He wants to take me to dinner tonight," she said. "He told me to wear something nice." I stood up so fast my chair hit the wall. "You think he's proposing?" "I found the ring receipt last week. I think yes." For a second, neither of us spoke. Somehow that felt worse than the second phone, worse than Chandler, worse than seeing the little girl. Because it meant Aaron wasn't just lying to keep things from falling apart. He was still building, still adding floors to a house that was already collapsing. Mia said she couldn't do it alone, so we made a choice, a hard one, a brutal one. But the cleanest kind of truth is the kind that arrives all at once. Mia texted Elena from Aaron's second phone and told her she had information about David. Told her to meet us at a restaurant in Scottsdale at 8:15. Public place. Safe place. She almost backed out 3 times. She didn't. At 8:04, Aaron walked in with flowers. I was already seated in the back, out of view. Mia was at the table near the window. He looked perfect. Button-down shirt, dark jeans, watch shining under the lights. The version of himself he wore for special occasions. When he sat down, he smiled at her like nothing in the world was wrong. Like he hadn't built entire lives out of borrowed names. I watched him reach across the table. Then Elena walked in. She spotted him immediately. Her face changed so fast it still haunts me. Not confusion, recognition. Then terror. Because when your reality breaks in public, your body knows before your mind does. Aaron turned, saw her, and for the first time since I had known him, he looked honestly afraid. I stepped out then. His eyes landed on me. Everything in him tightened. "Jake," he said quietly. That was all. No smile, no performance, just my name. Elena stopped beside the table. "Who is she?" she asked. Mia stood up slowly. "I was about to ask you the same thing." Aaron looked around the room, like maybe there was still a version of this he could talk his way through. There wasn't. Elena's hands were trembling. "Tell me right now." Aaron stood. "Let's not do this here." Mia laughed once, a cold, broken sound. "Where would you prefer? Your apartment? Her townhouse? Or the one you opened in his name?" Every bit of color left his face. Elena turned to me. "What is she talking about?" I held up the copied lease papers. "My information is on your home," I said. "He used my identity without telling me." Elena looked back at Aaron like she had never seen him before, and maybe she hadn't. Then came the last part, the part none of us knew for certain until it happened. A little girl's voice from the entrance. "Daddy?" We all turned. Elena had brought Sophia with her because her sister canceled last minute. The child stood there holding a stuffed rabbit, looking confused. Aaron closed his eyes, just for a second. That was it. No more lies left, no more angles, no more timing. The room went silent in that strange way public places do when everyone pretends not to watch. Elena started crying first. Not loudly, just this crushed, private sound. Mia didn't cry, she just looked empty. Aaron tried once, one last time. "It's complicated." I don't know what came over me then. Maybe grief, maybe rage, maybe the final collapse of 12 years of friendship. I stepped closer and said, "No, it was complicated when we trusted you. Now it's simple. You lied to all of us." He looked at me with something almost like resentment, as if I had betrayed him by not helping him finish the lie. That was the final twist for me. Not the second life, not the fake name, not even the stolen identity. It was realizing Aaron truly believed loyalty meant protecting him from consequences, no matter what he did. Security came over after that, quietly, respectfully. We moved outside before it got louder than it already was. On the sidewalk, under the glow of the valet lights, everything ended. Mia handed him the ring box he had slipped into his jacket pocket. She had seen it when he stood up. She didn't even open it. Elena said nothing at all. She just took Sophia's hand and walked away. Aaron looked at me last. I was going to fix it. That's what he said. Not sorry. Not, I messed up. Not, I hurt you. I was going to fix it. And that was when I understood there had never been a bottom to it. Only whatever moment he got caught. The weeks after felt unreal, like the city had kept moving while I was still standing in that restaurant. I filed the reports I had to file, froze my credit, changed passwords, sent statements, filled out forms, spent hours on hold listening to soft music while strangers asked me to prove my own name. Mia took time off work. Elena left the townhouse a month later. Her sister helped her move to Gilbert. We only spoke twice after that, both times about paperwork, both times polite, both times heavy. Aaron called me for days, then he emailed, then he sent one long text at 2:11 in the morning. He said he was ashamed. He said he had been drowning. He said one lie became 2, then 10, then 100. He said he never meant to hurt me. That part stayed with me, because maybe it was true. Maybe he never meant to hurt me, but some people hurt you anyway, because getting what they want matters more than what it costs you. Intent doesn't rebuild trust. It doesn't erase signatures. It doesn't give you back the version of a friend you spent half your life believing in. I never replied. A few months later, I ran into Mia by accident at a farmer's market in downtown Phoenix. Early Saturday, citrus stands, live music, families buying things they didn't need because the weather was finally good. She looked better, still sad, but steadier. We stood there for a minute in that strange, quiet people share after surviving the same storm. "I used to think the scariest thing was being lied to," she said. I nodded. "What do you think now?" She looked out at the crowd. "I think the scariest thing is how normal it looked while it was happening." That line stayed with me too, because she was right. That was the worst part. There were no dramatic warning signs at the beginning, no thunder, no shattered glass, no late-night confessions that sounded like movie scenes. Just dinner plans, jokes, group photos, Sunday afternoons, a friend I trusted, a woman who started acting different around me, and a truth moving underneath all of it, quiet as a leak inside the wall. Sometimes I still think about the first night I noticed something off in Mia's face, how I almost turned it into vanity, how easy it would have been to believe a smaller story, a safer one where awkwardness meant attraction, one where silence meant mood, one where friendship meant history, and history meant safety. but history doesn't protect you. It only makes betrayal harder to accept. I wish I could tell you there was some perfect ending. There wasn't. Aaron disappeared from my life the way sinkholes happen in dry places. Suddenly, then all at once. One day there was ground, the next day there was not. Mia and I never became anything more. People always expect that part. They expect two wounded people to walk out of the fire holding hands. But real life isn't always built that neatly. Sometimes two people survive the same lie and still choose distance. Not because they don't care, because they want a future that isn't built from damage. I respected that. Maybe she did too. Now, when I drive through Chandler for work, I still pass neighborhoods that look like that townhouse street. Beige walls, little lawns, bikes on driveways, families behind curtains. Normal life from the outside. And every now and then, I think about how many secrets can live inside something that ordinary. How many people sit at dinner tables believing they know the full story? How many don't? If there's a lesson in any of this, it's not trust no one. That's too easy, too cold. The lesson is quieter. Pay attention when the air changes. Pay attention when someone looks at you like they're carrying a question too heavy to ask. Pay attention when a person you love only tells the truth in pieces. Because sometimes the first warning doesn't come from the liar. Sometimes it comes from the person standing next to him, trying to decide whether you're part of the darkness too. And sometimes, the moment that saves you is the one you almost ignore. Mia acting different around me didn't ruin my life. It revealed who already had. That was the summer I lost my best friend. Not to death, not to distance, to the truth. And somehow, that hurt more.